Are we talking about Clash in Italy coming to a close this past weekend? I thought it was probably a B plus B event. And what comes out of that is the brackets for the King and Queen of the Ring, which will be decided at Night of Champions in, well, just about 3 or 4 weeks' time in Riyadh, Saudi Arabia. Quickly, I want to ask you, when these brackets were revealed, did you think, because I thought that these were going to be first round singles matches. I was very surprised watching Raw this week that they were all a bunch of fatal four ways.
No, they advertised it. They did.
Okay.
Yeah, they did advertise it. So it wasn't a surprise because they're like they do those first round matches as fatal four ways, and then I believe after that it's singles matches. I believe is how they
Yeah.
do it after. So
Yeah, I mean it's got to be right. What kind of event would it be if it wasn't? Because if it was a fatal four way, then we're moving on right to the championship because we're going to be down to four when this is all said and done.
I love the potential matchups, but I the thing I worry about is there's been rumors that Braun Breaker is injured again.
Mhm.
So like in my head before the injury, I was like, man, Obafemi and Braun Breaker could face off here pretty quickly. And I guess Braun Breaker, there's some video footage out there with his luggage. He's been limping around pretty good. So I don't know the severity. I hope Breaker is not broke in again. So hopefully he's good. But I want to see him at Femi. That's what I want to see.
Yeah, and I guess my thing is, and this is why I kind of thought these were going to be singles matches because of the fact that with the winners we're already on to the semifinals. So you only got to win 3 matches to be the champion. Crazy to think, right? Obafemi is already in the semifinals. I'm under the impression, in the old King of the Ring rule style, that we should have multiple matches on one night. What I mean by that is at Night of Champions, we should have semifinals to start the show, and then later on in the night, have the championship. That's kind of how King, like, I don't think people in WWE maybe necessarily understands how King of the Ring was created and why it seemed important, right? The Royal Rumble is important for the sake that it's 30 men in one night and then there's one winner. So you start with 30, you get one, you do it all at one time, right? If the Royal Rumble was like
Here's
a bracket, getting that, it wouldn't have the same effect. So I think,
here's what I would do. I would do it like this. I would have the final four of each. So
yeah,
I
mean, the semifinals of each.
Yeah.
I remember the old King of the Ring pay-per-views would have obviously it was only men back in the 90s and early 2000s, but it would have the quarterfinal matches, the 4 men's matches, the semifinals, and the championship because part of what makes it important was the similar to the Royal Rumble or anything else, the endurance test of winning, the event all in one night, like the Wrestling Classic pay-per-view back in '86 or the King of the Rings that weren't on TV back in the day.
Under like WWE's new model of like they want to keep pay-per-views or PLEs under like right around that 3 hour mark.
Mhm.
You could do it where final four of each, and then there's 2 matches to get to the finals. So there's 2 and 2. That's so 4 matches to get to the final, and then 2 separate finals matches or the King of the Ring, Queen of the Ring matches. That's 6 matches. That's the perfect formula for a pay-per-view.
That would be the perfect formula if this event was called King and Queen of the Ring. But unfortunately, it's called Night of Champions, right? So imagining that we're just going to get the championship matches from this. We're just going to get the women's and the men's King of the Ring finals. And then obviously world title match on like Saudi Arabia is paying for Roman Reigns to be there. Saudi Arabia is paying for Cody Rhodes, the current champion, to be there. One thing I guess I have a question about because we know what we're getting. We know we're getting Brock and Oba one more time. Now, I don't want to say that SummerSlam because we always do that. We always jump to the next big event. We always forget that there's other ones, like pretending that Oba and Brock 2 would happen at SummerSlam, right? When clearly it didn't. Seth and Braun didn't happen at SummerSlam. We didn't have to wait that long. It went to the next pay-per-view. So regardless of when Oba and Brock are going to face off, whether it's SummerSlam, whether it's Saturday's main event before SummerSlam, do you see Obafemi winning this? Do you see Brock Lesnar costing him this? Are these things because the winner goes on to SummerSlam to fight for the title? So Oba would be right to the main event of SummerSlam if he wins this. How are we going to factor in his rematch with Brock Lesnar?
I think you just hit the nail on the head. I think he gets to the final. I think Oba's going to get to the finals, and I think Brock is going to cost him the King of the Ring. Which then, because Obafemi pretty much says, I'll see you later. We're going to finish this another time. And Brock's going to be like, the hell with another time? I'm not going to let you win King of the Ring, and we're going to face each other at SummerSlam. I think that's what's going to happen. I think you're onto something there.
Now, looking at the bracket we have right now, anybody stick out at you to go on to SummerSlam and to win this whole thing? I think it's very interesting that Liv Morgan, she's doing the Brock Lesnar and the Royal Rumble card. Like, if I win this, maybe I then don't have to defend my title at SummerSlam thing, because she's currently the champion. She's talked about she's going to go for both belts or whatever. But anybody kind of intriguing you about who could be going, into the main events of SummerSlam? And I think one thing that could kind of intrigue me a little bit is if we get to the main event of Night of Champions or the Women's Queen of the Ring, and it's Liv Morgan versus somebody, and that somebody then beats Liv Morgan and then immediately says, all right, now again, but at SummerSlam kind of thing.
If I had to pick, I'll just say this: if I have to pick two early favorites, because I kind of already said that Oba Femi is obviously the heavy favorite, but if we're gonna stick with that theory, which I like, where Brock cost Oba, why not? Why not have LA Knight win the King of the Ring? Why not have him win?
I'll tell you why not. Because we've said this for so long, and WWE obviously doesn't want to go by that, right? Why not have LA Knight win the King of the Ring? Why not have him win the Money in the Bank? Why not have him win the Royal Rumble? They've never followed up on any of this stuff. So just going off of WWE's logic, I'm not against LA Knight winning money, this King of the Ring. I'm not against him winning Money in the Bank 4 years ago either, when he was hot as hell. I just think WWE's not going to go that route. What I do, though, see as a potential, because we've seen this before, Jey Uso getting to go up against, I don't know, maybe this time it's against Cody Rhodes instead of against Roman Reigns, right? Maybe he goes up against Cody Rhodes. We saw him in Tribal Combat.
Here's what I'll say.
At SummerSlam 2023.
If it's not going to be LA Knight, to me, it's got to be Seth freaking Rollins.
I mean, I definitely see Seth Rollins coming out of that four-way.
The reason why I see Knight is I feel like WWE.
I want Knight. I don't see Knight though.
I hope Knight, they do it for Knight, because I feel like they're planting these seeds where there's the issues with Knight and in the bloodline and things like that. So I feel like they're planting those seeds for a reason. Maybe it's just for the bloodline essentially costing Knight in this match, maybe. But at the same time, in the back of my mind, I'm thinking, why wouldn't they want to set up Knight versus Roman at some point? Like, to me, Knight deserves it, man. Like, I'm just gonna go with it. Like, I got a good feeling with that one. And then on the women's side, I think Rodriguez. I think Raquel's gonna win it. I feel like they're gonna hold all the belts.
But again, Raquel Rodriguez wins it. She's gonna go after Liv Morgan.
No, she's taking the other belts. So because they've already alluded to it on Raw this past week, we're going to get all the belts. And that's what they want.
Yeah. I mean, if it gets down, I think if it got down, because Raquel Rodriguez and Liv Morgan are on the opposite sides of the bracket, if it got down to those two, that'd be a very interesting situation, right?
It's not going to, though. It's not going to. I don't see it. I think, honestly, if I'm looking at this card the way that I am, I feel like Becky Lynch has got something to prove here. I really do. I think Becky Lynch is going to come out of that fatal four-way. I really do. Becky Lynch is coming off a tough loss, and she's going to want redemption. Because I could see Lynch and Ruka running it back in the what do you call it, the semifinals. I mean, Soul's on a roll right now with that big win. I mean, her first win as a championship. That's a roll for me. And she's looked great in every other match that she's had on the main roster. So I could see Becky and Soul meeting up in that final four section. And I could see Becky Lynch versus Raquel Rodriguez in the championship. So if I'm going to do that, I'll go on the other side of it. Like I said, I think it's going to be, well, I already kind of said it, Oba Femi versus LA Knight. And I think Oba's going to lose because of Brock, and LA Knight's the winner because of that.
I think we're going to get Seth. I think we're going to get Jay. I think we're going to get Oba. I think we're going to get Dominic. I know we want to see Braun versus Oba. I guess my thing, especially too, if Braun is a little bit injured, that would be kind of frustrating. Yeah. Do you think now Oba lost? Would you have rather seen, kind of going back to Clash of Italy just quickly, would you have rather seen Oba lose quickly? Because the match makes Brock look great. But at the same time, it made Oba still look great as well. So it's like Oba won hands down in the first meeting, and then Oba didn't really lose in the second meeting. He survived 7 F5s. So like it's
Hey, I was
difficult.
close, by the way. I did say 5. I was close.
Yes. So it's difficult to have that third meeting when they both the first two ones favored Oba so much because he won and he didn't look bad, right? So if I beat Brock Lesnar and then I lose to Brock Lesnar, but I push him to the limit, then really I think it's 2-0. I think it's 2-0 Obafemi, even though it's 1-1, right? Because Brock Lesnar is still the one who's got something to prove because he
That's
lost.
the point, though. That's
Yeah.
the point. They want to make Oba look great in that first matchup, make him look super dominant, catch Brock off guard a little bit because they did, and then the next match, it was more of a stalemate. It was two meat sticks just beating the crap out of each other, and Oba, like you said, Oba can't. Oba did not win, but Brock had to work for it, and that tells me that you're going to see that pendulum swing again. So it's going to be like Oba dominated. Brock took some of that aura back. And then at the end, you're going to see Brock Lesnar get retired by Obafemi in Minnesota at SummerSlam.
It's so weird that we're moving away from the whole Gunther thing and the retirement thing, even though he still is the career killer and that's his gimmick. But it seems like we've kind of moved away from that. And speaking of Minnesota, right? We were just talking.
Obafemi's bigger than Gunther right now.
I will tell you this much. And this guy isn't in the King of the Ring. Maybe it's not too late for them to throw him in Talatonga spot or something like that. A last minute, substitution. But somebody I would like to see definitely as we're moving towards SummerSlam get a huge push. There is no better time. His name's Chad Gable. We just talked about him in a previous segment for 20 minutes. He's from Minnesota, right? So
I'm not opposed to that. I'm
Yes.
not opposed to Chad Gable because I've been a push Gable guy for a long time. So that's music to my ears. But whether they do it, I wait and see approach. I mean,
and
I guess
that's how I feel about LA
too.
Knight, right?
Yeah.
I might want LA Knight to win all these things, but do I think they're going to let him win after the first couple times I saw him as hot as hell lose?
It can't be the same. You can't make it all about the Samoan dynasty. Like it gets to a point where you're gonna ruin the aura behind that all the great Samoans and the bloodline and all that stuff.
Well, I don't know if you saw this.
They can't win everything because
The
it's just not
Bloodline storyline as a whole, dating back to COVID, when this all got started, has been going on like longer than the Attitude Era in its entirety. That's how crazy, right? The Attitude Era's entire from late 97 to early 2001 is a shorter time period than the Bloodline
The
storyline.
point is, though, we just I get you're gonna have Roman on top. That's fine. I'm good with it because it's been entertaining. But you can't have every member of the Bloodline being a champion. It just, to me, that overpowering dominance, to me, I just don't know if it'll work right now. There's so much other great talent that we got to spread it around a little bit, and that's why I want to see LA Knight. They got to freshen things up. They finally got to do something with LA Knight because the time, he's not getting younger. He's an older wrestler anyways. Let's do something with him before he really can't go anymore.